Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to obviously do my episode 5 breakdown here. A very big episode here. Honestly, this one might be my favorite one of the season because of a lot of what happened in here. Honestly, it was a really big episode, like really phenomenal episode, and I really liked the direction of the episode and a lot of what happened. It felt like a classic Walking Dead episode in so many ways, and then there was just like, again, the ending scene and just sort of now the hype for the finale here. Obviously, I should warn you before we go any further that this will contain spoilers for episode 5, so I hope you guys are all aware of that. I will be doing my episode 6 trailer breakdown after this, so stay tuned for that, because in that trailer, it looks like Michonne as well will get the echelon briefing, and I'm very interested in what this is. It doesn't seem like the echelon briefing is going to be just solely about, going after Portland and all of that. It seems like there's a lot more to it. Based on what Jadis actually said in episode 5, I'm very interested in this. Like, I really want to know what this is. And I think that this is going to be the big moment here in the finale, the big moment in the season. And it could really be, like, honestly, a pretty big changing moment for The Walking Dead. So, yeah, I'm really interested in this. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And also definitely thank you so much to all of those that were there for the stream on Twitch. I did a live reaction to the episode and all that, a lot of fun. If you do want to join these, definitely go follow me on Twitch. The channel name is Appetite for the Dead. The link for that will be in the description of this video. But let's talk about episode 5. So, I mean, right away, the first moment in the episode was Gabriel. He was just there, and I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. We just see Gabriel there, and yeah, he sees multiple helicopters flying by, and honestly, I was really not expecting this. Like, I guess that one character that was sort of following them, the mysterious character, I thought that was Jadis. Like, I really didn't assume it was anyone else because it didn't really seem like it was anyone else. But I also, because of that, wasn't expecting a returning character. I thought that maybe Silas would be here, but then I saw people posting like behind the scenes photos for episode 5, and then you saw other actors there. So I was like, okay, so it's definitely not Silas. So Silas won't be here in this episode and probably not in the series. So now I'm looking at it like, okay, so Gabriel is there. Was Gabriel the returning character that Gimple was referencing? As of now, obviously, yeah, like he is the returning character. Does this rule out a return from Morgan in the finale? It doesn't really necessarily rule it out. I mean, if Gabriel never showed up here and then going into the finale, we would all be like, well, who's the returning character, right? So there would be that aspect to it. But I know I've seen people say, I don't know if it's true, I haven't even looked into it at all, but I saw some people saying that going into the finale here, there's going to be a marathon or something of Fear the Walking Dead episodes, which I find very interesting, right? Because those episodes are with Morgan. So yeah, I'm interested if like that's set up for that. Like, it really depends on like where it ends as well. Because if you're showing all of Fear season 8, then that would be a little like, I don't know, just a little weird. But if it's like the first 6 episodes, up until Morgan's departure, and then that episode actually comes on, like the finale, then that's very interesting. Then that to me is like, okay, maybe he does show up at the end here, right? But anyways, Gabriel, really incredible. Amazing to see him back. Really amazing to see him back. And we actually see him here during a lot of different timelines. So Rick and Michonne at this time, they're very happy. And a lot of, the beginning moments here are just of them very happy. And this really felt like a part 2 to last week's episode, in which you just had them so happy. And they're going back to Alexandria, and it just felt really amazing seeing the characters in a place like this. And this is what I really liked about this episode, was that it felt like a very classic Walking Dead episode of like Rick and Michonne are just in the woods and they're just sort of trying to survive and get back home or get to a place, right? Like, it really felt just so classic Walking Dead. And it was honestly really nice to see. It really was, because I don't think they're going to be doing that a lot going forward, obviously. So it was kind of cool to have like a downtime episode like this and have Rick and Michonne just do like normal things that we were used to seeing them do in The Walking Dead, right? So we see Rick, he's actually looking for a gift for RJ, and yeah, he sees Junior, and then Michonne laughs, and she's just like, I don't think anyone's ever called him that. He goes just by like, I guess, Little Brave Man or like Rick, basically, right? Or I guess RJ. So it was kind of funny. Like, it's sad, but it's also like, Rick is trying to to get to know his son a little bit, right? Like that's why I can't wait to see them together. I do want to see that reunion with the characters and just what it would be like. I just want to see how they interact together, and just I don't know, there's so much story there. And that's my thing too. If this show ends with them all reuniting, I don't think that means necessarily that you can just end the story there. Like you could do a season 2 with the CRM still being a threat, but now Rick is with his family, right? I think that'd be really incredible, because then you have a whole different aspect to a lot of it. A lot of things that you can actually explore in a season 2 in terms of like, Rick, like his relationship with Judith and all of that, right? And just like scenes of them just talking, just alone about everything, right? I think that'd be so incredible. And I think that would make a season 2 so exciting. So I think that, honestly, that could be a really smart thing to do for a season 2. Have Morgan come back, maybe Judith and RJ come back for that, and then in season 3, if that's the reuniting season with everyone else, maybe that's where Daryl and all of them show up, right? I think that'd be really cool. So I'm praying for a season 2, but in a week from now, we're going to know, right? Like I was saying before, this does feel like a part 2 to episode 4. They're discussing what their kids are like and everything like that, and it's just like everything's all happy, everything's good, and then they run into new people, and right away I was like, this is so old school Walking Dead. And a lot of the story for most of this is they're dealing with those new people, but mostly where things really come into play is when Jadis shows up. And the whole thing with Jadis, and I guess this episode, is that it was just that. It was a Jadis episode. Like this really was Jadis's episode. This was the end to her story here. And we get to the first scene here. It's a flashback scene. It was 3 years ago. So later on in the episode, there's actually a flashback that takes place 2 years ago. And what was said here in this scene by Gabriel is that they have no food or supplies or anything like that. So this takes place right after the Whisperer War, and obviously like going into the Commonwealth arc. So this is all like early season 11 stuff, like around there, like maybe right before season 11 started or like right in the beginning. It's basically around like early season 11, right? And this was 2 years prior, right? And so from this point until the finale, I think a year goes by overall, I would say, by the ending. And then they also do another year time jump, which catches us up with like the current timeline. So that would mean that at the very end of The Walking Dead, that is when the current timeline is happening. So I think that pretty much tells us where the story is right now. So Rick and Michonne's story right now is set during the very ending events of The Walking Dead, like the very last episode, like post time jump, that very like final moments of the entire series, right at the very end. So I think that tells us a lot in terms of, do Rick and Michonne make it back home? Because Daryl is set like not necessarily right after that. I think some time has passed, right? There's been a few months or whatever, maybe up to a year, but now he's gone. He's out there. Maggie and Negan is set a couple of years after that. So it definitely says a lot in terms of do they make it back and all of that when there's not a lot of mention of Rick and Michonne. So I think that kind of tells us where the story's going here a bit, because going back to the first flashback though, where it was 3 years ago, Jadis met Gabriel here. Rosita's death at this point never happened. And it was kind of cool to see Gabriel and Jadis just talking about a lot of stuff. And a lot of their focus here was, Gabriel really did save Jadis in a lot of ways, and he really tried to help her a lot. He was very patient, but he was there for her the entire time. And it really felt like they had way more of a connection, than Gabriel and Rosita. And I think that was just sort of always the case. And so it was kind of interesting to see, going into like, all of this stuff happening, and literally Gabriel kept us a secret. Like that was the most shocking thing about all of this, is the fact that Gabriel kept us a secret from everyone. So I like this because Gabriel saw the helicopters before, right? That was always a thing. Like that was always a concern of mine. He saw the helicopters in season 8, I believe, season 9. He saw the helicopters in season 9. And I always wondered, like, why didn't you say anything to anybody? Like, it's so weird that you just never said anything, like ever. And we kind of know why. It's because he was sort of keeping that a secret for Jadis, right? And that's, obviously that's very cool. I mean, it's awesome to see that, because I think that really does fix that entire plot line right there, because that was really like, why didn't he mention anything, right? I will say, though, there is still the fact that Negan saw the helicopter. Like, he never brought that up ever. So at some point, they're probably going to have to fix that. But again, Jadis is dead now. So everyone else, you know, in the future, there's gonna be no one seeing Jadis again for the first time in a while, right? Like she's just gone now. So yeah, but I mean, in terms of the Gabriel part, I'm glad they clarified that at least. You know, I think that was really important. But then we get the scene where Jadis does find Michonne and Rick, and then yeah, the whole speech by Jadis here, really incredible. I think that she did actually mention Huck here. She mentioned that she had to, you know, she lost somebody or whatever. So I'm assuming that that was Huck, because she said it was like a good friend, this and that or whatever. So I think that she was actually referencing Huck, who we do actually see in a shot later on, but we'll get to that. Jadis really, you know, in this episode, she really dealt with, you know, just where does she belong? She says at one point, you know, she likes the CRM, she likes Alexandria. Like they're both, she didn't want to lose either one. And so it was, you know, Jadis was, you know, the CRM, and was Alexandria. And it was hard for her to pick a side, basically, right? But she just did what she had to do because of survival. And you can kind of understand it, you know, you kind of get where she's coming from. In the other flashback, actually, Gabriel does mention that at a moment with Rick where they were just like sitting in the woods, and Rick was saying something about wanting Gabriel to marry them, you know, like to marry Rick and Michonne. And then, you know, just as they were saying that or whatever, or maybe it was a little bit afterwards, but Gabriel found a ring on the ground. And I thought this storyline was very, very interesting. I have some questions about it, but like, I thought it was kind of cool because that ring is like, just that whole thing is so interesting. And then later on, when that comes back up, when Jadis is like about to die, and she gives that ring to Rick, and, you know, sort of tells that story, Rick's shock in that moment is just like, wait, how'd you know about that? Right? So I thought that was really incredible. And it really, I feel like if you don't like Jadis, that moment there probably made you like her a lot, because there is that side to her, right? Like she's not the villain entirely. There are worse characters on this show. And this episode here, with where they ended her story, I am like, I love this character. Honestly, Jadis is such an amazing character. Really incredible character. Jadis actually says here what comes after, which was kind of cool. That was a reference, obviously, to Rick's last episode. And then we get this whole car chase scene, basically, and that's sort of the whole thing that's happening here. A really cool car chase scene. I thought that, I mean, I guess at times during that car chase scene, it was Jadis chasing them, but it was more Jadis like running away, trying to survive, than Rick and Michonne were chasing her. But I thought was like, you really did not get that from the trailer. Like they changed what that looked like a lot. So yeah, very, very interesting. But one aspect of this episode that I really liked was the fact that Rick was trying to help Jadis. And I thought that was really interesting because, you know, him wanting to help her says a lot about who he is as a character, right? Like, because Rick and Jadis, that's the thing, like, they never really like hated each other, right? Like, yes, you could say that Rick obviously hated Jadis at certain moments, but it just never really felt like it entirely. I don't know, like, honestly, it really, like, there was those moments where it was like he can't stand her, but like, I don't know, they obviously worked together. There was sort of a respect between the characters, like they understood each other, I think is what it is. You know, there's definitely, it's very complex for sure, very, very complex. But Rick saying, you know, I couldn't see certain things, you know, whatever, and you helped me, so I think we should help Jadis or Anne and help her see some things. And Rick actually really for the rest of the episode calls her Anne, doesn't call her Jadis at all. And I think it's because, you know, he sort of views it as Anne is still in there somewhere, right? And, you know, let's just help her see that, you know, and maybe we can sort of work out a deal here and we can actually save everything here and maybe she'll let us go, kind of thing. So Michonne at points just like, no, I want to kill her and all that, but obviously by the end of the episode Michonne does see differently, right? But then we get to the other flashback where we do see Gabriel again, and this is 1 year ago now. So at this point Jadis opens up a lot to Gabriel about what she's doing, and she's very conflicted about a lot of stuff, and there's just a lot more tension here, right? Like a lot of their conversations are just about like what does she do and all of that, and Gabriel really looks forward to all these conversations and all of that. And yeah, then we cut to the scene where Jadis is saying, you kill me, everyone's dead. Really amazing moment. Honestly, I thought that was a really awesome moment for her. Like they're all trying to hide from each other, obviously, because they don't want to die. But Jadis is just like, you know what? I'm going to walk out here because you can't kill me. And if you kill me, everyone's dead. And it was such a confident moment for her where I was like, man, that is so awesome. Like she just went out there and it's like, you can't kill me. And they couldn't. They actually couldn't kill her. And then obviously they had to run because Jadis could kill them, right? But then we learned during this scene here that Rick does need to get the echelon briefing. You know, like that's something that he was about to get it, but he really needs to get that echelon briefing because he needs to learn a lot more about what's going on. And he could have saved everyone if Michonne didn't stop. And I found that so interesting. In this whole echelon briefing, they keep bringing it up constantly. And so to me, it's because it's going to be a very big moment and it's going to change everything here. Because like the way Jadis makes it seem is like whatever this echelon briefing is, it is going to save the world. And if Rick would have just stayed doing what he was doing, he would have saved Alexandria. And it's like, wait, what? How does that make any sense at all? Right? So I want to know what this echelon briefing is. I really do. I'm so curious because I don't understand how it's so changing like that. Like if you look at the trailer, we'll talk about that in my trailer breakdown, but there's a moment where you see Pearl Thorne in the scene and there's actually like a triple P mentioned there. Obviously, that's a reference to the triple P card. So I feel like that's going to be a story for season 2. And then there's also moments of where you see a map and a lot of people are saying that's Portland. I still have to look into it to make sure that is Portland. But still, you know, Michonne's reaction in the scene, I was like, wait, what is going on here, right? So it all builds up to Jadis's really amazing final moment where we see her just sort of, yeah, she's giving this whole speech and all of that. They make a deal and all that. Jadis doesn't trust them. There's a standoff. Then eventually she gets bit. And then her death scene, honestly, she sort of just talks about everything. And it really was at that moment, you know, while watching it, I was sort of reflecting back on like just how amazing this character has been. And it's really incredible, the journey of this character. And it's insane that she's actually dying here in this moment. And it just really makes this season so amazing. It really does. And yeah, you know, she does say that there's a dossier in her room. It's at the Cascadia home or base or whatever. So go destroy it and go home. And so that's what Jadis wants Rick and Michonne to do. Right now, she is basically like, go there, destroy the dossier, and just go home. And it's funny because that's what Rick and Michonne wanted, right? Or specifically, that's what Rick wanted, was like, let's just go there, you know, destroy the dossier or whatever, and then let's just like leave and go home. And obviously they couldn't really do it for a lot of different reasons because Jadis couldn't die, this and that. Like that was so complex, right? But a lot of what Jadis was saying here in this episode about the echelon briefing and all of that, that changed Michonne's mind overall, where she got to the point of like, no, we can't do this. Like we have to go back and destroy the CRM. There's no way we can just end things here. We need to go back and destroy the CRM because that's the right thing to do, right? We'll deal with our stuff. We'll destroy the dossier and all that. We'll do whatever we need to do. But yeah, and I just, again, it felt like everything is just, it's too happy. There's no way going into episode 6, they're just going to achieve that. They're going to go there, destroy the CRM, destroy the dossier, and everything's fine. I think they'll get pretty close. They'll do a lot of things like that. But I feel like there's going to be a reveal about the echelon briefing and something that could happen in terms of destroying Alexandria at the end, and maybe Beale already knew about all of it. So the dossier stuff didn't matter because Beale already knew about it, and it could honestly be a really, really amazing moment. And there's so much to look forward to here in next week's episode. But then Jadis dies. Rick actually puts her down, and that was it. That's the end of that character. And again, really phenomenal character. Absolutely love Jadis as a character. And then we get the very final scene here where Rick does actually propose to Michonne. And during this scene here, Michonne is talking about wanting to change the CRM, and it's sort of what we need to do. And it's going to be a lot more. Again, I think a lot of people right now are concerned about, you know, are they going to be able to do all of it in one episode? And hopefully they don't, because that's not enough time. And I do agree it's not enough time. Like if they're going to go to the CRM in episode 6, destroy all of it and leave and go back home and it's over, I would be so mad, so disappointed in everything. Like so much build up just for that. Honestly, like I would be very, very disappointed if it ends in a way where they're going to be doing a season 2 and then they explore it a lot more. But they do obviously do some damage to the CRM in this episode, but it ends on a cliffhanger where, you know, you see Beale as very threatening, because that's the thing. If Beale dies right away, I'm just going to say it, Beale is a very, very weak villain because, like, he's done nothing so far. Jadis was a much better villain, right? I guess kind of villain. Like, in the end, she wasn't really a villain, but she was a much better villain in this season. Beale's not really a villain at all. And if he just, like, dies or the CRM's gone or whatever and they escape and that's it, honestly, very disappointing character. Overall, very, very disappointing. So I hope that it ends in a way where it does set up a season 2 and some really crazy things happen, because then there's a lot of excitement, right? Because then, like, what's next? What happens next? And then the whole focus for this first season here is just, you know, reuniting them, which is what they said they were going to do, focus on them. And then they had all this CRM stuff happening and all of this setup, right? So I think it's so perfect here. And yeah, that's what Michonne wants to do now. So that's where they're going. They are going to the CRM. we actually see a final shot here where we do see Gabriel goes to visit. So that is in the current timeline, which is kind of cool. We see Gabriel there, and yeah, Jadis doesn't show up. So I think that tells Gabriel that she's probably dead. I mean, I think he'll probably go back there a year later or whatever, but that tells Gabriel that she's probably dead, right? So I don't know where that story is going to go in the future. It is very sad, but that is just sort of, I guess that is what it is. But yeah, and then we also see Anne buried, and yeah, she's buried with an A, which I think is very appropriate. And yeah, I think that this episode was just a really great episode. Honestly, that's why I say, like, it's kind of hard for me to say which one did I prefer. Did I prefer this one? Or did I prefer episode 4? And I think I just did prefer episode 5 overall, because episode 5 to me is it's just absolutely a really incredible episode. Like, it really is, just at least personally for me. You know, episode 4 still was great. And again, it's kind of hard to like rank all of these episodes. Like like maybe I'll do a ranking in the end and sort of see which one I preferred overall. It is hard to say because I'm just coming off watching this one, right? And a week from now, I might feel differently about episode 5. So as of now, that's sort of where I'm at. You know, episode 4, there were some really incredible moments there, but not a lot of big stuff happened. You know, I mean, obviously the Carl moment was amazing, but in terms of deaths and all that, right? Like this one had Jadis' death, we had Gabriel show up, and you know, there was a lot here. So it's kind of hard to say, but I really liked episode 5. So anyways, post all your thoughts down below. Post your I guess your review for episode 5, and stay tuned for my trailer breakdown video coming out very soon for episode 6, the finale of The Ones Who Live. Hopefully season 1. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.